The stars were quiet. Too quiet. The Valari ship floated alone in deep space, broken and silent. Its engines were dead. Lights were off. The oxygen was running low. It was a ghost ship. Inside, Kira Valen, the last officer of the Valari fleet, stood in front of the cracked control panel. Her dark eyes were tired but still sharp. Her silver skin was pale from cold and fear. "All systems down," the computer said in a flat voice. "Oxygen, 3 hours remaining." Only 37 Valari were still alive on the ship. Once they had thousands, soldiers, pilots, scientists, now only survivors. The enemy, the Zarkon Empire, had destroyed everything. Their cities, their fleets, their families. The Valari homeworld was gone, turned to dust in fire. And now, even space had become a trap. Kira looked around the dark room. Some of the survivors sat against the walls, coughing or whispering. A few stared into nothing, their minds broken from fear and loss. "No signals," said Lieutenant Solon, trying to fix a transmitter. "No ships nearby. No help coming." Kira nodded. "Try again. Anyone, anywhere. We need a miracle." She knew there was no one left to hear. Hours passed. Then, the alarm beeped. A weak sound, but loud in the silence. "Ship detected," said the computer. "Zarkon Scout-class vessel. 1 ship. Range, 500 kilometers. Weapons charged." Gasps filled the room. Kira's heart sank. No shields, no weapons. No chance to run. The Zarkon had found them. "Weapons systems?" Kira asked, already knowing the answer. "Offline," said Solon. "Everything offline." The Zarkon ship was getting closer. "They will destroy us," someone whispered. "Like they did the others." Kira stood tall. "No. We die on our feet. Not begging." She walked to the broken communication console and turned on the last working mic. Her voice was calm, strong. "To whoever hears this message, we are the last of the Valari. We are stranded, helpless. Our world is gone. We fought bravely, but we were outmatched. If anyone out there still believes in life, in hope, we are still here. We do not want to die." She closed the message. The Zarkon ship locked weapons. Red lights flashed. The silence stretched. It felt like the universe was holding its breath. Suddenly, the stars moved. A strange light appeared in the distance, a small spark at first. Then it grew brighter, larger, louder. A ship jumped into real space with a deep, powerful boom. It looked like nothing the Valari had ever seen. Sleek black metal, massive cannons, glowing blue engines. The Zarkon ship paused. Then a voice echoed through the Valari ship, clear and calm. "Unidentified vessel. This is the Earthship Vanguard. You are targeting unarmed survivors. Disengage or be destroyed." Kira froze. "Earth?" Solon whispered. "That's not possible. Humans are extinct." Another voice replied. "Zarkon. Language. Angry. Threatening." The Vanguard didn't wait. In 1 second it fired. A blinding flash. The Zarkon ship exploded, gone before anyone could blink. The Valari stared at the screen. No one moved. No one spoke. Then the voice returned. "This is Captain Arlen of the Vanguard. Valari survivors, you are safe. Stand by for rescue." Kira's legs gave out. She fell to her knees, breathing hard. Humans. Real humans. Here. She looked out the window. The Vanguard hovered above them, like a dark angel. They had come from nowhere. They had saved them. But why? Where had humanity been all this time? And what were they planning now? To be continued in Part 2. From the Shadows, a Light. Let me know if you'd like Part 2 written next, or if you want a voiceover script version for your video. Fordo said, "Continue next part more unique." ChatGPT said, "Great. Let's continue with Part 2. From the Shadows, a Light. continuing the story in the same simple English with third-person narration and keeping it suspenseful, emotional, and cinematic. Part 2. From the Shadows. A light word count. 850 words, HFY Sci-fi YouTube story. Part 2. The human ship was like a mountain in space, massive, silent, and powerful. The Earth ship Vanguard moved slowly toward the broken Volari ship. Its dark hull shined under the stars. Long rows of cannons pointed outward, ready for battle, and yet, not a single shot was fired now. The Zarkon ship had been destroyed in one blast. The survivors of the Volari could only watch in silence. Kira Velen stood by the cracked window. Her hands were shaking. Not from fear, but confusion. She had trained as a commander for 10 years, fought in battles, led missions, but nothing in her life had prepared her for this. Humans, she whispered. They're real. Solon, her lieutenant, looked stunned. But they left the galaxy 100 years ago. Everyone said they went into hiding or died. Kira's voice was quiet. Everyone was wrong. Suddenly, the control panel lit up. The first working screen in days. A human face appeared, pale skin, dark eyes, calm, serious voice. This is Captain Arlen of the Vanguard. We are locking onto your ship. Stand by for boarding. No harm will come to you. You are under Earth protection. Earth protection? The words felt strange, like something from an old legend. The Volari had only heard stories of humans, whispers from older generations. Some said they were peaceful explorers. Others said they were monsters from a forgotten war. No one really knew the truth. But now, one thing was clear. The humans were back. The airlock opened with a loud hiss. Tall figures stepped through, human soldiers, in dark armor, faces covered by sleek helmets. They moved without fear, scanning the room quickly but not aiming their weapons. Behind them came a woman without a helmet, Captain Arlen herself. She looked around, her eyes cold but not cruel. She walked straight up to Kira. Commander Velen, she said, your people are safe now. Kira blinked. You know who I am? We know many things, Arlen replied. Come, we have medical teams waiting. Kira hesitated. Why are you helping us? The human captain looked at her for a long moment. Because no one else would. The Volari survivors were taken aboard the Vanguard. For the first time in weeks, they felt warm air, clean light, and the soft hum of working machines. Some wept, quietly. Others stared at the walls, unable to believe it was real. Kira walked beside Arlen down the shining corridor of the ship. It felt endless, filled with technology she couldn't understand. Quiet screens, drones flying past, soldiers in perfect lines. This ship, Kira said softly, is stronger than anything we've ever seen. Arlen nodded. The Vanguard was designed to fight gods. Kira stopped walking. Why now? Why return? Why save us? The human turned her head. We left this galaxy for a reason. We watched as it forgot us. We only return when the edge is near, when hope is almost gone. Kira didn't understand, but she knew one thing. The humans were not ordinary. They had power, knowledge, secrets, and she wasn't sure if they were saviors or something else entirely. Later, Kira sat in a clean room with a soft light and fresh air. She hadn't felt safe in years. On the wall, she noticed a phrase written in the human language, then translated below. We come when the hopeless call. It sent chills through her. She looked through the window at the stars. The Vanguard floated like a giant shadow, guarding them. The Zarkon would return. She knew that. But now, there was something new in the galaxy. Something old. Something feared. Humanity. And this time, they were watching. The Volari survivors were alive. They had food, air, and rest. But they did not feel safe. The human ship, Vanguard, was quiet. Too quiet. Its long halls were cold, clean and empty. Machines floated by without speaking. Human soldiers stood like statues. No smiles, no voices, only silence. Kira Valen walked slowly through the corridor, her boots echoing on the metal floor. Her people were in the lower decks under watch. Medical help was given. But there were always guards, always cameras. We were saved, Kira thought, but not trusted. Inside the command center, Captain Arlen stood before a large display. She watched a map of the galaxy. Red marks blinked on many worlds. Zarkon fleets moving fast, spreading like a virus. Beside her stood her first officer, Major Ryan. He was tall, quiet, with a metal implant across one eye. "They've taken 6 more systems in the past month," Ryan said. "The Zarkon will soon reach the inner core." Arlen nodded. "That's why we're here." Ryan looked uneasy. "The Valari. They're asking questions." "Of course they are," Arlen replied. "Everyone does before they understand." Back in the Valari guest quarters, Kira was trying to fix an old communicator. She wanted to contact anyone outside the human ship, maybe other survivors or neutral systems, but every signal was blocked. "This ship," she said to Solon, "is a cage made of kindness." Solon frowned. "They saved us, Commander." Kira nodded. "Yes, but why? What do they want in return?" Just then a screen lit up. Captain Arlen's face appeared. "Commander Velan, please join me in the observation chamber, alone." The room was high above the main deck, with a full glass wall showing stars and systems far away. Kira entered carefully. Arlen stood looking out at space. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Arlen said. "So many lights, so many lives." Kira stayed quiet. "You think we're hiding something?" Arlen continued. Kira stepped closer. "Are you?" Arlen smiled, just a little. "We disappeared for a reason, Commander. The galaxy wasn't ready for what we were becoming." Kira looked confused. "What do you mean?" Arlen turned around. "You see a ship. Soldiers. Power. But this is only one part of what humanity is now." She pressed a button. The stars on the screen faded. Instead, a new image appeared. Dozens of human ships, all bigger than Vanguard. Some were alive with energy. Others seemed to be invisible. Kira's breath caught. "You have a fleet?" Arlen nodded. "A hidden one, waiting." "For what?" Arlen's voice lower. "Signal blocked. But then, something strange happened. A message flashed briefly on the screen before it shut off. "You are not the only ones watching." Her heart raced. Who sent that? Another survivor? A spy? Or another human? The galaxy was not as simple as she thought. The Zarkon were still out there. Humans had returned. And now Kira realized something terrifying. Being rescued doesn't always mean being free. To be continued in Part 4. They don't fight like us. Let me know if you'd like Part 4 next, or if you want visuals, sound effect ideas, or narration-style tips for your video production. They don't fight like us word count. 850 words, HFY Sci-fi YouTube story. Part 4A week passed aboard the Vanguard. The Valari survivors were healthy again. Their wounds were healed, their minds rested. But something had changed. They still felt like guests. But now it also felt like they were being studied. Strange floating drones passed their rooms every hour. Walls whispered low mechanical sounds. Doors only opened after long pauses. And every time someone spoke, it felt like someone or something was listening. Commander Kira Velen didn't like it. Captain Arlen was polite, calm, always honest, but never open. One morning, she called Kira to the war chamber. There, Kira saw something she had never seen before. A full tactical map of the Zarkon fleet. Every ship, every planet, every movement. "You track them in real time?" Kira asked, shocked. "Yes," Arlen replied. "They think they're clever. But we've been watching them for years." Kira stared at the glowing red dots. "You knew about the war, and you did nothing?" "We were waiting," Arlen said, "until the moment we were needed." Kira turned. We needed you long ago. Arlen's face remained still. You weren't ready. Suddenly, alarms rang. A voice echoed through the ship. Zarkon fleet inbound, 17 warships, intercept range in 9 minutes. Kira felt her chest tighten. We can't fight that many. Captain Arlen didn't move. We're not going to fight them, she said. We're going to show you how we end wars. The Vanguard moved into deep space, alone. 17 Zarkon ships approached, fast and deadly. The Valari had seen these ships destroy entire colonies. Kira had once watched one burn her city from orbit. Now, 17 of them were here. Kira turned to Arlen. We need to call reinforcements. Arlen raised one hand. No. Watch. The bridge fell silent. Then the Vanguard fired nothing. Instead, the stars bent. A strange humming filled the ship. Blue light ran across the floor. The screen in front of them shimmered. What's happening? Solon asked. Wide-eyed, Arlen's voice was calm. We're not fighting with weapons. Suddenly, the first Zarkon ship disappeared. Not exploded, just gone. Then another. Then 2 more. In seconds, 10 of the 17 ships were simply erased from space. Kira gasped. Where did they go? Arlen answered with a strange coldness. We folded them into themselves. Their atoms are lost between dimensions. Kira stepped back. That wasn't war. That was godlike. The remaining Zarkon ships tried to flee. They sent out distress signals. One even self-destructed to avoid capture. The Vanguard did not chase them. Captain Arlen gave no orders to pursue. Let them run, she said. Let them tell the others. Kira looked at her. You didn't just win the battle, you sent a message. Arlen nodded slowly. Humans don't fight to survive anymore, Commander. We fight to end threats before they begin. Later, back in her quarters, Kira couldn't sleep. Her people were saved again. The Zarkon had been destroyed without even a shot fired. But something inside her was afraid. This wasn't just power. It was control at a level no species should have. They don't fight like us, she whispered to herself. They don't think like us. Solon entered the room quietly. You saw the message, right? He asked. Kira nodded. That's strange. Signal again. You are not the only ones watching. Who is it? Solon asked. Another human ship? Kira's eyes narrowed. Maybe. Or maybe not even human at all. She stared out the window into the dark. The Zarkon were monsters. But the humans? They were something else. Something colder. Something final. And now, they were awake. The Vanguard moved quietly through the stars. The Zarkon had fled. Fear had spread across their empire. Other species began whispering again about humans, the lost giants, the sleeping gods, the monsters in the void. But inside the ship, something else was happening. Something stranger. Commander Kira Valen woke up in the middle of the night. The lights in her room flickered. A soft static filled the air, like a whisper with no mouth. She reached for her communicator, but it was dead. Then, a voice came, not through a speaker. Not in her ears, but inside her mind. You are not alone. She froze. The voice was calm, ancient, layered with echo and sadness. She wasn't sure if she had heard it, or felt it. Suddenly the screen on her wall flashed, just for a second. Hidden protocol breach, unknown source, level red. And then it was gone. In the morning, Kira met Solon in the mess hall. I heard it again, he whispered. The voice. Kira nodded slowly. It wasn't human. It wasn't even Valari. He leaned in. It wasn't speaking. It was thinking into us. They stared at each other. Who or what was on this ship with them? That day, Kira went to Captain Arlen. But before she could speak, Arlen turned toward her with a strange expression. You felt it, didn't you? Kira froze. You know about it? Arlen nodded. It happens sometimes, when the Vanguard passes certain areas of space. Kira narrowed her eyes. That wasn't just space noise, that was a mind. Arlen paused, then finally said, "We are not the only Ancient Ones, Commander." She led Kira to a restricted part of the ship, Subdeck 13. It was dark, cold, and not listed on any maps. Even the humans didn't go down there often. Behind a thick sealed door was a single room. Inside the room, a glass tank. Floating inside was something indescribable. Not alive, not dead, not flesh, not machine. It shimmered and pulsed like a dying star wrapped in skin. Kira stepped back. "What is that?" Arlen's voice lowered. "We found it near the edge of the galaxy. We think it's a mind relic, a piece of something that used to be alive. Something older than humans, older than the stars. It spoke to us," Kira said quietly. Arlen nodded. "It's been silent for years, until now." Later that night, the whisper came again. This time, stronger, clearer. "They are not what they seem." Kira felt pain behind her eyes. The walls around her seemed to move. Images flashed through her mind. Burning stars, twisted metal, human ships standing above broken worlds. "You run from monsters," the voice said, "but you are running into something worse." Kira couldn't sleep. The next morning, she secretly opened the old Valari communicator again. Blocked. But now a new message came. "We are listening too. Not all humans agree. Not all humans obey." She stared at it in shock. Someone, maybe even a human, was sending messages behind Arlen's back. Another secret? Another war? Meanwhile, deep in the core of the Vanguard, systems began failing, one by one. The lights dimmed in places they shouldn't. Navigation maps blinked with errors, and in the lower data archives, one AI worker whispered to another, "They have found us again." Kira stood by the observation window. The stars outside looked peaceful, but she knew now something else was in the dark, watching, speaking, maybe warning. And if it was right, then the humans weren't saviors. They were just the first storm. And a bigger one was coming. To be continued in Part 6. Shadows of the First War. Ancient secrets are revealed. A dark truth about human history. The real reason they disappeared. And what they're hiding in deep space. Commander Kira Velan stood in the Vanguard's deep archive, watching a screen flicker to life. Beside her, Captain Arlen remained silent. "This is what we never wanted to show," Arlen said. "What we buried. What we tried to forget." The screen displayed a dark symbol, an old Earth warning sign. Class 0 event, eyes only, First War. Then, the recording began. A shaky old video played. It showed a fleet of human ships, but not like the Vanguard. These were older, smaller, but thousands of them. They hovered above a black planet, dead, broken, glowing with radiation. A voice in the recording said, "Target confirmed. Species, unknown. Threat level, catastrophic. Operation Judgment begins now." Then came a blast so massive the stars around the planet seemed to blink out. The humans had wiped out an entire world, no survivors. Kira felt cold. "What species was that?" Arlen answered softly. "We don't know their name. They were never mentioned in records again." Kira turned to her. "You erased them?" "No. We erased everything. Their language, their signals, their home." "System. Why?" Arlen looked away. "Because they saw what we were becoming and tried to stop us first." Kira stared at the screen. "This was the real reason humanity disappeared." Arlen nodded. "After that war, we left the known galaxy. We hid. We evolved in secret. We became what we are now. Part machine, part mind, part something more." Kira whispered, "You became weapons." Later in her quarters, Kira sat with Solon and two other Valari officers. She told them everything. Some stared in silence. Others were afraid. One officer said, "So they saved us. But only because we're useful. Or because we're next," another muttered. The voice returned that night. But this time Kira asked back, "What are you?" The answer came quickly. "We were the first enemy. We were the first to see the danger. We failed." Kira asked again, "Why warn me?" The voice said, "Because it's happening again. You are standing inside a sleeping weapon, and it is beginning to wake." The next morning, Captain Arlen called a secret meeting. Not just Valari officers, a few humans too. Kira noticed one face she hadn't seen before, a human with glowing eyes and silver veins. "This is strategist Morrow," Arlen said. "He manages threats that don't exist on maps." Morrow spoke with a flat voice. "There is movement in the dark zones, signals, anomalies we've seen only once before, during the First War." He turned to Kira. "We believe the thing contacting you is a remnant, a ghost of the first species we destroyed." Kira spoke, slowly. "And now they're returning." Morrow nodded. "Not to fight, to warn." Meanwhile, across the stars, strange things were happening. On the edge of Zarkon space, a fleet vanished with no trace. On a mining colony, workers found symbols carved into stone. Symbols no one remembered, but that caused human AIs to crash. Instantly, a beacon activated in deep space, and it wasn't made by humans or Zarkon. It pulsed with one message: "The final awakening is near." Kira looked out the viewing window again. She thought about everything. A ship too powerful for war. A captain too calm in chaos. A galaxy that had forgotten an entire species. And a voice speaking across time and memory. Humanity didn't just survive the First War. They ended it. By becoming something no one could fight. Now they were back. But something else had returned too. Something older. Something angry. And it had started speaking again. The stars were quiet. Too quiet. On the bridge of the Vanguard, Commander Kira, Valen watched the scans. No enemy ships. No known signals. But something was coming. Everyone could feel it. Captain Arlen stood still, eyes fixed on the black screen. "Status?" she asked. "Nothing," replied strategist Morrow. "Just static, but not normal static." Kira leaned closer. "What kind of static?" Morrow answered softly. "The kind we saw, just before the First War ended." Suddenly, alarms blared. All screens went black for 2 seconds. When they came back, only one thing was visible. A massive void in space, pitch black, no stars, no light. But not a natural void. This was moving. Arlen's face hardened. "It's awake." They called it the Echo, not a ship, not a species, not a mind, a leftover from the First War, a creation of the destroyed race, meant to stop humanity at any cost. Built from folded, time, dead matter, and broken souls, it had been asleep for centuries now. It had found the Vanguard. And it was angry. The void grew larger on the screen. Every nearby human satellite failed. Even the Zarkon Empire, watching from far away, reported their systems going dark. The Echo was not attacking with weapons. It was erasing existence itself. On board the Vanguard, power began to flicker. The AI whispered in warning. Dimensional interference detected. Energy patterns impossible. Kira turned to Arlen. "What do we do?" Arlen looked down. Then she said words no one expected. "We ask for help." From the shadows of the ship, another figure appeared. An old human, gray-skinned, wires in his skull, eyes glowing white. He walked with pain but spoke with calm. "I am Archivist Halen, last survivor of Project Origin." He tapped a hidden panel. The wall behind him opened. Inside, a sealed core, older than the ship itself. Inside this core is the mind of the first enemy, or what is left of it. Kira stepped back. You kept it? Arlen answered. We didn't keep it. We couldn't destroy it. It's the only one who knows how to stop what's coming. The core was connected. The lights dimmed. Everyone held their breath. A strange voice echoed through the bridge, not loud but deep inside each of their minds. You came back. Too soon. You were supposed to forget, Kira asked. What is the echo? The voice answered slowly. It is us. What we created. Our last mistake. It does not forgive. It does not think. It only ends. Arlen stepped forward. Can we stop it? The voice replied. Only together. Outside, the echo reached them. A black wave approached. Unstoppable. Inside, the Vanguard humans and Valari worked side by side. The ancient mind guided them. Fold space behind the wave, not in front. Trap it in the loop it left. Captain Arlen nodded. Ready the warp matrix. The ship began to hum, a sound older than any technology the Valari had ever heard. The stars around them twisted. The wave hit, and the Vanguard vanished. For 10 seconds there was nothing, not even light. Then a pulse. Bright, clean, silent. The echo was gone. The Vanguard returned, damaged, but alive. Silence filled the bridge. Then the AI reported. Threat neutralized, dimensional. Layer stabilized. Kira stood shaken. Did we destroy it? The archivist answered. No, we put it back to sleep. Days passed. The ship healed. The Valari prepared to return home. In her final talk with Captain Arlen, Kira asked one last question. Why did you really come back? Arlen answered quietly. Because we knew. One day, someone would wake the dark, and someone would have to stand in front of it again. As the Vanguard left orbit, Kira looked back at the stars. She once thought humans were just legends. Now she knew the truth. They were not gods, not monsters, not saviors. They were something else, the shield between light and the void, and now they were watching the stars again, just in case the dark ever moved again.